In 1845, two of Britain's finest ships and 129 men sailed into the Arctic and vanished. No survivors, no messages, no answers, for more than 170 years. Now, stunning discoveries are finally revealing the chilling fate of Sir John Franklin's lost expedition. You're watching Infinity, the place where history's greatest mysteries come alive. If you're fascinated by the stories the world forgot, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. This is just the beginning. The mid-1800s were the height of the British Empire's obsession with exploration. One of the greatest remaining frontiers was the Arctic, specifically the elusive Northwest Passage. The Northwest Passage promised a shorter sea route between Europe and Asia. It could make Britain the master of global trade. In 1845, Sir John Franklin, a seasoned naval officer and former governor of Tasmania, was chosen to lead a bold new expedition through these frozen seas. Franklin was 59, an old man for such a brutal mission, but his reputation as a tough and respected leader won him the post. He would command two specially outfitted ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. These were no ordinary vessels. They had steam engines, reinforced hulls, and even heated cabins, cutting edge for their time. The ships were stocked with food for 3 years, over 30,000 pounds of preserved meat, lemon juice to fight scurvy, and even a 200-volume library. The crew of 129 included officers, sailors, engineers, and scientists. Many were eager young men dreaming of glory. Before departure, the Admiralty provided vague instructions and trusted Franklin's judgment. After all, who knew the Arctic better than a British explorer? The expedition set sail from Greenhithe, England, on May 19, 1845, cheered by crowds who believed they'd be heroes by return. The first stop was Greenland, where the crew sent final letters home. This would be the last anyone ever heard from them. By July, whaling ships spotted Erebus and Terror entering Lancaster Sound in Baffin Bay. Then, nothing. No updates, no return. Just a growing sense of unease as weeks turned into months. Lady Jane Franklin, John's wife, pleaded with the Admiralty to search for the expedition. They refused. Until years had passed, public pressure grew, and soon dozens of rescue attempts were launched, many more costly than the original expedition. What had happened to these two mighty ships and their crew? The answers would take over a century to surface. The British public was obsessed. Newspapers ran daily updates. Artists painted imagined scenes of Arctic tragedy. Between 1848 and 1859, more than 30 expeditions scoured the Arctic, searching for Franklin and his crew. Some found bizarre clues, abandoned campsites, graves of crewmen, and snippets of notes. In 1850, 3 graves were found on Beechy Island. The bodies inside were remarkably preserved, frozen by the Arctic cold. The graves marked the deaths of John Torrington, William Braine, and John Hartnell, all young men who died within the first winter. Forensic analysis in the late 20th century showed high levels of lead in their bones, possibly from contaminated food cans or water systems. Inuit accounts, long ignored by the British, described white men dragging sledges and starving in the snow. They spoke of madness, illness, and cannibalism. Bones were found with cut marks consistent with butchery. Yet still, no one had found the ships. The Arctic was vast, hostile, and uncharted. The Franklin expedition had become a ghost story whispered among explorers and historians alike. In 1859, a breakthrough came. Explorer Leopold McClintock found a note stuffed in a cairn on King William Island. It was dated April 25, 1848. Written in a firm but desperate tone, it revealed that Erebus and Terror had become trapped in ice in 1846. The crew had waited 18 months, frozen in place. Sir John Franklin had died on June 11, 1847. With no hope of rescue, 105 men abandoned the ships and tried to march south. The second part of the note, added months later, was even grimmer. The men were dying. Leadership had changed. The Arctic had won. Other explorers found scattered human remains along the coastlines. Many of the bones bore horrifying marks: split femurs, cut grooves, signs of possible cannibalism. The icy silence of the Arctic had hidden a gruesome end. Still, no one knew where the ships themselves had gone. Had they sunk beneath the ice? Drifted away? The mystery remained, but the obsession never faded. More than 150 years later, technology would succeed where explorers had failed. In 2014, a Canadian expedition funded by Parks Canada discovered HMS Erebus in Queen Maud Gulf. It was remarkably intact, lying in shallow water just 11 meters deep. The discovery was hailed as one of the greatest in Arctic exploration history. Then, in 2016, HMS Terror was found 45 miles away in Terror Bay, astonishingly preserved. Its windows were still in place. Some doors were closed. Inside were boots, dishes, books, frozen in time. The preservation stunned scientists. The icy, oxygen-poor environment had sealed the past. Underwater cameras showed crew cabins, engine rooms, and even sealed compartments possibly hiding new clues. It was like entering a time capsule from 1845. The wrecks confirmed Inuit oral histories that the ships had drifted south before sinking. Once doubted, the Inuit had been right all along. So why did the expedition fail? Modern science offers chilling insights. Lead poisoning likely played a key role, affecting cognition, behavior, and judgment. Poorly soldered food tins and ship plumbing may have slowly poisoned the crew. The Arctic climate also crushed their strategy. The ice never melted enough to sail through. Many believe Franklin was too rigid, unwilling to adapt or take advice from Inuit guides. The Admiralty's lack of clear instructions also contributed. Franklin was given too much autonomy. When the ships got locked in ice, the crew had no plan B. Starvation, illness, and frostbite set in. Their survival odds plummeted. Franklin's leadership may have collapsed in the face of Arctic chaos. It wasn't just the cold that killed them, it was overconfidence. Modern archaeology has turned the Franklin mystery into a scientific detective story. The wrecks are being studied with drones, submersibles, and 3D imaging. Bones are being DNA tested to identify crew members. Artifacts are preserved and displayed at the Canadian Museum of History. Some researchers are reconstructing faces of crewmen using forensic techniques. Journals and logbooks, if recovered intact, could reveal new secrets. Every item pulled from the ice is a clue, a whisper from the past. The story also reshaped how we view Inuit oral history, as a reliable source, not folklore. The Franklin expedition now bridges science and culture. It's no longer just a British tragedy, it's a shared Arctic legacy. The story of John Franklin is more than a mystery. It's a mirror. It reflects the dangers of pride and the limits of technology in the face of nature. It reminds us how easily great ambition can blind men to risk. The crew had everything: power, supplies, ships, but not flexibility. Their failure wasn't just environmental, it was human. Today, Arctic explorers study Franklin to learn what not to do. His legacy is carved into ice and bone. The Franklin expedition's legacy echoes in museums, books, and shipwrecks. Their sacrifice expanded the map and changed how we explore. Their story warns us that even the best-laid plans can fall to nature's fury. The Arctic still holds secrets, but fewer, thanks to this rediscovered story. As we explore space and deep oceans, Franklin's ghost reminds us, respect the unknown. If this story fascinated you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Infinity uncovers mysteries the world tried to forget. Stay curious and stay prepared. The ice always remembers.